Hey everyone, figured make a quick video on what I'm working on today. I'm in the process of pulling the engine out of the Husqvarna. I'll do some maintenance on it. That includes repairing the stator. Hopefully I can get this machine to charge, and I can get the idiot light on the dash to turn off. Unfortunately with these particular tractors, the only way to get to the stator is you gotta pull the entire engine out and disconnect just about everything and either lift it out and put it on a workbench, which I'm not going to do. I don't want to carry it that far. I got a steel table over there, but I don't feel like pulling it over here. I might bring that cart over, we'll see. Anyways, pull the engine out, pull off the outer shrouds, and pull the flywheel off, and you're to the stator. And the only unfortunate part is to test it, you got to put all that back together, get power, fuel, and you can test it. Luckily I should be able to test it out of the tractor. Shouldn't have to put it all back in to test it, but it's still a pain in the butt. These are nice tractors, but the maintenance, especially for anything on the flywheel side, is very difficult. But that's the way you go with these tractors. They run a lot of hours without ever having to have serious maintenance, so maybe that's what they figured. Considering this machine is showing 4,100 hours. No, sorry, 3,400 hours. That's what it's showing on the hour meter. But those are obviously key on hours, so I'm unsure how accurate they actually are. But anyways, that's where I'm at right now. If I make any significant progress and feel like making a conclusion to this video, I will. So stay tuned. Okay, engine is now sideways. I am ready to start removing all the shrouds. I was mistaken, it's actually 8 bolts. There's 2 right here that hold on to this pulley right here. So it's 8 bolts, technically 5 on one side, 3 on the other. You can get this out on the actual plate. It's actually easier to work with it on the plate than it is to try to unbolt the actual engine from the plate. So here's where they come through right here. My bad. But there we go. Next step is start taking off the tins, get that pulley off, get that fan cover off, and hopefully that flywheel will come off. Okay, after a thunderstorm and a downpour, and getting up my puller and the impact and 2 hiding screws down, or bolts down here at the bottom, I finally got the cover off and I've gotten the flywheel off. One thing I noticed is the first time I've ever taken apart one of these engines to this extreme, they actually have a secondary bracket that holds the coil, the magneto coil, whatever you really want to call it. So it has 2 bolts right here and here. So I guess if this was to break, you can actually replace this entire piece. On the cheaper engines, this is casted into the block. It's part of the head. Pretty cool. But here is my culprit. It's actually just really dirty. So I'm hoping I can just clean it and it might be okay. Somebody's definitely been into this engine before. This is a newer starter, and I do believe I have a replacement starter for this down in the basement. So I'm pretty good on that. But to get out the starter, you pretty much have to do exactly what I did here, not necessarily remove the flywheel. I don't know, can't really tell if this has been into before or not. It's pretty caked on with dirt up there. I think the starter is actually mounted right here, and down here another post. Pretty small bolts for such a high torque starter. At least they're a reasonably high torque starter on these engines. But at least I'm to the actual stator. I'm going to get the wire wheel out. I'm going to clean up the flywheel side, and I'm probably going to use the wire wheel on the actual stator itself. Just obviously on the tops here. It's really greasy on the top and the bottom. Or I might grab my extra stator and see if it lines up and see if it's the correct size or not. And I'll clean it up instead, and I will actually fully replace it. We'll see. I'll see what happens first. But I just thought that was kind of interesting with the secondary bracket that holds the coil. But like I said before, these are not fun to work on. Okay, the conclusion to this video for now. I was getting a little bit of output off the original stator here. I don't know if I mentioned that before or not. I ran into an issue with the flywheel. All but one magnet is loose, so I'm in the process of re-gluing the flywheel magnets hoping this stator will be okay. I stuck them back in with the glue, and a little bit of haste, I put it back on. And what's happening is the magnets are actually sliding towards the block, so when the engine's running. So I'm thinking they're not staying in place over top of the actual stator long enough to make a charge. I don't know if they were originally doing it or not, but I was getting a little bit of output out of the stator. So fingers crossed that after the glue sets up, it might be okay. If not, I'm going to pull out all the magnets, all but the one good one, potentially rip the stator out here as well, and I will be doing a one-wire alternator, or yeah, one-wire GM alternator on here definitely. I still want to leave any of this crap in here just in case it runs into an issue. Really, this could stay in here and just abandon the wiring, but we'll see. If the flywheel has to come back off again, I might as well rip this out as well. But as of right now, it's not looking good for the actual original stator, unless the glue does set and I'm getting a halfway decent output out of this. Really, all I want is 9 volts, just enough to trickle the battery when it's running, because I run a full-size car battery, so battery's not that bad. So I just need some voltage out of here, just enough to keep the battery charged. So that's where we're at. I'll talk to them later. Please keep redneck like always, and please from comment.